That man, that young man, I forgive him.
Did anyone else notice at the Charlie Kirk memorial event the other day that none of his family seemed to be in attendance?
Did anyone else notice something seriously off at the Charlie Kirk memorial event the other day? Because online, people immediately started pointing out one detail that felt impossible to ignore. None of Charlie's immediate family appeared to be in attendance, and that silence spoke louder than words. And that's where things start getting uncomfortable. According to reports circulating online, Charlie Kirk's parents have allegedly hired a private investigator after leaked bank details surfaced, suggesting Erika may have paid Tyler Robinson in connection with what happened. Now let's be very clear here. These are claims and allegations only. Nothing has been proven in court, no charges have been confirmed, and no verdict exists. But people aren't brushing this off as random noise, because this didn't come out of nowhere.
When you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode, going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this is not okay. It's not healthy. This is a mind virus.
But when you step back and look at Erika's behavior after Charlie's death, critics say the timeline just doesn't add up. One moment that keeps coming up is how quickly she publicly forgave Tyler Robinson. Not after evidence was reviewed, not after a trial, not after a jury spoke. She forgave him before the court made any definitive ruling. To a lot of people watching from the outside, that didn't feel like healing. It felt rushed, strategic, and strangely protective. And that reaction only fueled more questions. Because instead of allowing open discussion, Erika has reportedly gone out of her way to shut down every conspiracy connected to Charlie's assassination. She's dismissed all speculation outright, even claims raised by Candace Owens, who suggested there could have been more than one person involved and referenced unusual surveillance and unexplained aircraft activity around the situation. To skeptics, that level of certainty feels less like confidence and more like damage control, especially when unanswered questions keep stacking up.
I think we're at like over 200,000 for merch sales. Don't quote me on that because I think it just keeps like bumping up like.
Because when family members step back, investigators step in, and financial details start leaking, people naturally start wondering what's being hidden and why the story feels tighter than it should. Erika didn't just push back on the speculation, she shut it down forcefully and without hesitation. But instead of calming the noise, that level of aggressive denial actually made some people even more uneasy. Because when someone moves that fast to seal off every possible line of questioning, it naturally makes observers wonder what's being protected and why certain angles feel completely off limits. And that's exactly where Charlie Kirk's parents re-enter the conversation in a big way. Robert W. Kirk and Catherine Kirk were noticeably sidelined after their son's death, and the absence didn't go unnoticed. People online started asking why they weren't front and center during Charlie Kirk Day or at the major memorial event in Arizona, moments where parents would normally be present, visible, and honored. That memorial should have been about Charlie, his life, his work, a space for shared grief and remembrance as a family. But according to attendees and even viewers watching from home, Erika appeared to dominate the entire event. The tone shifted fast. What should have felt somber and reflective started to feel loud, or unscripted, and highly controlled. For many, it stopped resembling a memorial altogether and began looking more like a rally, a political moment wrapped in tragedy. And this wasn't a one-off reaction. People had already been voicing discomfort for a while, saying Erika turned her husband's death into a platform instead of allowing space for mourning.
I don't even know where to begin. The fact that we were able to pull off an event of a century, like it's just insane. We had over 275,000 people that attended, and stadium, overflow, Westgate, insane, you guys. And then you have, was it 100 million? We had thousands that were registered to vote. I think we're at like over 200,000 for merch sales. Don't quote me on that because I think it just keeps like bumping up.
Critics argue that the transition from loss to messaging happened unusually fast, with branding, strategy, and optics taking center stage while grief felt pushed aside. Then came the moment that turned murmurs into outright backlash. A leaked audio recording began circulating online, and it hit like a shockwave. According to reports, the audio features Erika speaking with her staff just days after Charlie was assassinated. Now, but what truly rattled people wasn't just that the recording existed, it was the energy behind it. In the audio, Erika reportedly sounds upbeat, motivated, and energized. She thanks the team. She congratulates them. She refers to what happened as an event of the century. She discusses strategy, momentum, and merch sales like it's a campaign launch. And all of this is allegedly happening just 6 days after her husband was shot and killed. To critics, that tone didn't sound like someone processing loss. It sounded like someone already moving forward with a plan. And when grief looks that organized, people start asking hard questions they can't unsee.
Who wasn't at Charlie Kirk's funeral? His parents. And that's because it wasn't a memorial service, it was a propaganda rally.
For a lot of people watching this unfold, that audio doesn't sound like someone deep in grief at all. And once it surfaced, social media had plenty to say about it. Now, I want to be very clear, these are opinions, not established facts, but they still matter because they reflect how a growing number of people genuinely feel about everything surrounding this situation. When you start stacking all the pieces together, the picture gets heavier. The leaked audio, how quickly certain people were forgiven, the aggressive shutdown of every alternate theory, Charlie's parents being pushed to the sidelines, and now these alleged bank statements that some believe point toward a payoff. With all of that piling up, it's not surprising that people begin connecting dots on their own, even if no official conclusions have been reached. And this is where things start getting deeply uncomfortable for a lot of observers. Yes, prosecutors have stated that the suspect allegedly left behind a note expressing intent. And there were also messages where he reportedly admitted to it later on. None of that is new information. It's been discussed publicly and covered before.
I told y'all this woman is not grieving. She's glowing. She's literally happier than a cat at a fish fry. Look at her. And not only did she have adoring eyes for J.D. Vance, same adoring eyes for Donald Trump. Sis is laughing all the way to the...
But the question people are asking now is different. Could those messages have been seen earlier? Because if someone was openly communicating violent intent ahead of time, people naturally start wondering who may have had access to those messages. When were they seen, if they were seen at all? And most importantly, could any of this have been interrupted or prevented? That single question changed the entire direction of the conversation, because after Charlie's death, public focus didn't stay locked solely on the suspect. Attention began shifting toward Turning Point USA itself. What was happening behind the scenes? Now, who inside the organization continued moving the way Charlie once did, and who clearly took the reins in a new direction? And once people start examining internal dynamics instead of just one individual, the story stops feeling contained. It starts feeling bigger, messier, and far from finished.
Team, I said, Turning Point USA will continue like my husband always wanted, and it will be bigger than ever, and we're going to honor him by...
According to multiple people familiar with the situation, things inside Turning Point USA didn't just shift. They changed fast. Employees who started asking questions reportedly didn't stick around very long. Others say they were quietly pulled aside and pressed to explain where they stood, what they believed, and who they were loyal to. To many watching from the outside, it didn't feel like leadership stepping up. It felt like people were being watched. That's when Candace Owens spoke up. She publicly said that what was happening behind the scenes felt less like accountability and more like a witch hunt. According to her, employees were being called into offices, questioned about loyalty, and caught in closed-door conversations they were never supposed to repeat. She even claimed she heard directly from people inside the organization who felt pressured, shaken, and unsure of what would happen if they said the wrong thing. And once a workplace reaches that point, everything shifts. Because when people feel like speaking honestly could cost them their job, trust disappears instantly, creativity dies, transparency collapses, and fear starts doing the talking instead. What made this even harder for some to process was the timing. While all of this was allegedly unfolding behind the scenes, there's video footage of Erika on a Zoom call addressing staff. In that meeting, she refers to everyone as family, urges unity, and tells people to put differences aside for the greater mission. But according to critics and former insiders, the reality didn't match the message.
This company is still being terminated after never having my performance questioned, after never doing anything wrong, after working tirelessly through the death of Charlie. This is wild. And you can, that's completely unsatisfactory.
Behind closed doors, people were allegedly being questioned, pushed out, or quietly silenced. And that disconnect between the warm words on camera and the reported pressure off camera didn't sit right with a lot of people watching this unfold. To many observers, it wasn't just about leadership style anymore. It was about whether the environment matched the values being preached. And once that gap becomes visible, People start asking questions they can't ignore, and then things took an even darker turn. Then Candace Owens revealed that she had seen messages sent to Charlie before he died, messages she says genuinely shook him. She was careful to clarify that she does not believe those messages came directly from leadership at Turning Point USA. But once those messages became public, the entire conversation shifted. And because at that point, people weren't just talking about grief anymore. They were talking about power, control, and who stood to benefit once Charlie was no longer around. And that's when a new rumor started spreading fast. According to multiple reports circulating online, Charlie had allegedly been discussing the idea of auditing Turning Point USA before his death, digging into finances, taking a closer look at how money was being handled and how decisions were being made behind the scenes.
The entire issue and the energy right now is that people, irrespective of what's happening on paper, don't believe the story. They don't believe the story. And you are, and of course, this is only a snippet of the interview, so I'm sure more will be said here. But I'm getting that you have seen the case, you think it's a solid case, she thinks it's a solid case at least, and is saying, show everybody what you have so they can see true evil. Within her capacity of chairman and CEO of Turning Point USA, they could be more transparent about what happened that day. People don't like the stuff that they've seen about Mikey McCoy. They don't like what they've seen about Rob McCoy. They don't like the history of Rob and Mikey McCoy and their involvement here. They don't like the video of Terrell. They don't believe what time text messages were sent or when the phone calls took place. You know, Rob McCoy is lying. In the areas that you can control the transparency, I think doing that would be beneficial to Turning Point USA, because I don't think Turning Point USA.
And for a lot of people watching this unfold, that detail hit hard. Because if money was being moved around, if those alleged payments people keep pointing to exist, some believe this is where the tension may have started. And then there's Charlie's parents. They didn't release long public statements. They didn't go on media tours. Instead, speculation suggests they quietly hired a private investigator to look into what really happened to their son. And for many people, that choice speaks volumes. Not because it proves anything, but because it suggests they may believe there's more beneath the surface than what's been officially explained. So this is where things stand right now. No clear answers, just layers of unanswered questions, a trail of claims, contradictions, and uncomfortable gaps that people feel still haven't been addressed. And until those questions are answered, many believe this story is far from finished. Now I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think is really going on here? Drop your opinions in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video so more people can see it. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.